this sprint, we're going to be converting percents to fractions. And if you recall the definition of a percent, you'll see that this is fairly easy because a percent already is a fraction. It's a fraction with a denominator of 100. For example, if we have the percent 67%, that is just a fraction with a denominator of 100. 67 100ths. This percent sign means per 100. If we look at the Latin roots here from percent, we know that cent in Latin means 100. So per 100. 67 per 100, or you could say 67 out of 100. So the way we write that as a fraction is just 67 100ths. So let's look at another one. How about 5%? So this just means 5 out of 100, or 5 hundredths. You can even think of this as the percent sign. You can even think of as meaning hundredths. So 5 hundredths would be written like this. In this one, I would want you to simplify in the sprint. And I'm only having you, the questions that I have on the sprints should be fairly easy to simplify. And I'm just doing that because I want you to start recognizing some very common factors. 5 goes into 100 20 times. So I want you to start just knowing how to divide by some of those common factors and simplifying in your head. So this one would be 1/20th. So if you take 5% of something, that's the same as taking 1/20th of it. The same up here. If you take 67% of something, that's like taking 67 100ths of it. What if you take 100% of something? Now if we know, if we recall what this percent means, it means per 100, then we have 100 100ths, which is just 1. So if you take 100% of something, you're taking all of it. You're taking 1 of it. So 100% is the same as 1. Okay, let's do some sample problems that you might see in this sprint. And before I start, I just want to tell you that when you do your practice sprint, you can use paper your first few times until you get really quick, and then you can start trying to do it in your head on the practice sprint, and then finally, once you are very confident, you can start doing the timed sprint. But I just want to make sure you all understand that it's okay to use paper when you first start one of the practice sprints. Okay, our first one here is 7%. So the percent sign means per 100 or hundredths. So as we go through these, always think percent means per 100. So 7% is 7 hundredths. 41% would be 41 hundredths. 25% is 25 hundredths. This one you would need to simplify. 1/4. 113%. Now this is over 100%. 100% of something is all of it. So if you're taking 113% of something, you're taking more than all of it. So there's 2 ways to think about this one. You can think of it as hundredths. First of all, 113 hundredths, which is a mixed fraction, or which is an improper fraction. We can change it into a mixed fraction by making it 1 13 hundredths. So you would enter your answer for this one as 1 space 13/100. Or you can think of this as 100% of something is 1 of it. It's all of it. And then you're left with 13% is 13 hundredths. 1 13 hundredths. So if you take 113% of something, you're taking 1 13 hundredths of it. So you're ending up with more than you started with. 13% more than you started with. 209% of something. Okay, the 200% of it is going to be taking 2 of it. Because if you take 100% of something, you're taking 1 of it. If you're taking 200% of something, you're taking 2 of it. Then you're left with the 9% or the 9/100ths. So it's 2 and 9/100ths. Or if we thought of this as 209/100ths, because percent equals hundredths, that is an improper fraction. If you convert it to a mixed fraction, you get 2 and 9/100ths. The next one says 0.3%. Now we have a decimal percent. But again, don't let that bother you. Just think of it as 0.3 over 100. The percent still means hundredths. But now we have what is called a complex fraction. And a complex fraction is a fraction within a fraction, or a decimal within a fraction. We don't want to leave our answer as a complex fraction. We want to have whole numbers in the numerator and the denominator. So we know that if we multiply 0.3 times 10, we can move the decimal point 1 to the right, which would turn that 0.3 into 3. And then we would need to multiply the denominator by 10 also, and we would get 3/1000ths. So our answer here would be 3/1000ths. 0.3% of something is the same as 3/1000ths of it. And this last one, 7.1%, we would do the same thing. Think of it as over 100, and then think that you don't want a decimal in your numerator, so you'd be multiplying numerator and denominator by 10. The numerator now becomes 71, and the denominator becomes 1000. So as I said before, on your practice sprint, you're more than welcome to start using paper to do this. But then I want you to start thinking about this in your head. When you see something like 7.1%, think in your head, 7.1 over 100. Oh, I can't have that decimal in the numerator, so I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 10, and I get 71/1000ths. Okay, so there you go. Good luck on your sprint.